we're doing music now, not for us. We do music for them, for those telling us you are giving me something, some sort of motivation. This is the thing, how to have motivation in a decadent world, because we can't just not do. We can't just stay in bed because you're thinking you're not doing enough. Most people that I know are very sad that I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough. But that's the thing. Like, if you keep thinking you're not doing enough, you're just not going to do point, you know?
Yeah.
And doing a little bit is already more than just stop, you know, than just stop. And so that's the fuel that keeps, you know, the band going.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Bleeding Metal podcast. My name is Kiki. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the host of Bleeding Metal, and I am super excited to have CALVA LOUISE with me today.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Kiki.
How are you doing? Could you please, each of you, introduce yourselves?
So I'm Jess, and I sing and play the keys and the guitar.
I'm Alizon. I play bass.
I sing.
You backing vocals. And I'm Ben. I play drums.
All of you together are CALVA LOUISE. How long has the band been in existence?
Since August 2016, so almost a decade.
Wow. I want to hear all about it, but especially I feel like you have as a band such a fascinating story and biography. The biography on your label's website is 3 pages long. It's a really good read though. But would you mind telling us a little bit of each of your childhoods even? Where does each of you come from and how did you manage to meet?
Wow, yes. So I come from Venezuela, right? And I moved to Europe when I was 16, about to turn 16. That in itself is a long story, but the long story short is that I arrived in a city specifically to go to England because it was close to England. And that's where Alizon is from. And then we met.
So, yeah, when I was 16, Jess arrived in my school and then we became fast friends and started playing music together. She was like, do you want to play bass in my band? And I was like, yeah, sure, but I've never played bass in my life. She was like, it's fine. Here's a bass and let's go. And so we played music together until eventually she was like, okay, it's time to go to England. And I didn't speak English. And I was okay.
Wow.
So we took trips to England until we kind of like stayed there for good. And then, you know, we met Ben, trying to figure out, you know, we're doing open mics, just the two of us. We're getting any little gigs we could, trying to understand, meet people, and then we met them on the scene in London.
Yeah. So meanwhile, while all that was going on, I was growing up. I grew up in New Zealand, in the North Island, of a place called Rotorua. And when I was about 15, my parents moved to London and took me with them, obviously. And then, yeah, I continued growing up in London. And when I was a bit older, I met these guys once they'd come from France. So,
and that's how the band formed. And in the while that was happening, it was very confusing in a good way because Alizon and Ben couldn't communicate. And so they couldn't, because Alizon wasn't speaking English at the time. And the band spoke English. And I spoke a mixture of all of it, trying to translate on my way, my Venezuelan way. And that's kind of like the absurdity of like the creation.
Yes. And the three of you are now based in London, though, right?
No, we're based in the north of England, so in Blackpool.
Wow.
Around.
Near Blackpool.
Near Blackpool.
Okay. That is incredible. And especially the commonality that all of you have, apart from music, of course, is this kind of unrooting from your birthplaces. Is that something that also influences your music and your songwriting?
Yes, this is very influential because at first when we started playing together, it was strange, right? Like the music was always been very strange. And we all kind of like subconsciously understood where the songs were going. And also like we couldn't just do what we wanted at the start because we just didn't have the availabilities of like practicing, recording. We had to survive at the same time as like
Right.
trying to create music. And it was really hard for people to understand us. I think it still is a little bit, because they're like, why all these genres? Like, why? But then we started thinking about it, like doing interviews and stuff like that. I grew up taking the bus. And so in the bus in Venezuela, especially like I can only speak about like going from Guarenas to Caracas, because that was the trajectory that I will do to go to school. The buses put, like a lot of different music, and not rock. They put, well, maybe a couple, maybe because it's the driver that owns the bus and decides, and there's music all the time.
Yeah.
And so there's like a variety of salsa, merengue, vallenato, like a lot of that. Like Alizon in France, up with French music, and Ben growing up in New Zealand. I guess your brain has different paths, like the wiring inside, just because of the external influence of your surroundings. So that was kind of subconsciously influencing the steps that we were taking. And but you guys will always be like, makes sense.
Yeah, it never felt out of place, even though there's a lot of different things coming into the music. When Jess shows us the demos, it's like, yeah, that makes sense that you'd go into like a 3/4 or like swinging bit or like just more traditional like quattro. It's always made sense to us to incorporate these elements.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think also like it's great because now we're at a point where Jess is not restrictive creatively at all. It's just whatever's natural, because obviously Jess writes the songs, so whatever's natural for her will come out in the best way possible, like the most organic way possible. And obviously, like Els and I, like play with our instruments, parts, and stuff. But yeah, those influences definitely seep through.
And what are your influences? What did you, let's start on the other side this time. Ben, what did you start listening to when you were a kid? What did your parents listen to? Were there musicians in your family?
My dad plays a little bit of piano, but he wouldn't consider himself like a musician. He learned when he was a kid. So he plays a little bit of piano. He listened to a lot of rock from England. Like his favorite band is Queen, but he loves all of those kind of bands, like that whole like glam rock era. He loves like bands like The Alarm, like Peters, all of that kind of stuff. And then I grew up listening to the stuff that other kids were listening to on the school bus, which was mainly like skate park type music. So it was a whole new metal thing. So like Linkin Park, Limp Bizkit, POD, Korn, like all of that kind of stuff. Blink-182, yeah. So that was kind of my main introduction. And my mom likes Bob Dylan.
Right. Alizon, how about you?
There's no musician in my family, but my dad was always playing music through the house growing up constantly. And it was similar influences actually. It was a lot of British music, British rock. It was a lot of Pink Floyd, Police. And then I was listening to bands like Muse that we bonded over with Jess, and a lot of older French music as well, with like orchestral instrumentations and stuff. So it was very mixed, but I got this kind of British rock influence too.
All right.
And in my family, there is musicians. My dad's excellent guitarist, songwriter. And so he already showed me a lot of bands. My parents both love rock music and metal as well. And so, but also like a lot of influences of music from South America. And so grew up listening a combination of rock bands from South America and also from Europe and United States. My dad showed me like System of a Down and Muse and stuff like that, but also Calle 13, for example, and also folklore music from Venezuela. So like joropo music, música llanera, like Simón Díaz was very prevalent growing up. So it was a melting potpourri pot of like a lot of different things put together.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that's amazing. I feel like I have a lot of parallels with Jess. I come from Ecuador. I've been living in Europe since 2007. And I also grew up with that kind of public transport blasting some sort of, in that moment, very annoying, very annoying music. But now I also enjoy it very much. I enjoy this double life of loving metal concerts and making heavy music as well, but also going out dancing salsa and merengue and reggaeton and just,
Yes.
And at the same time, the other side of that coin, and you can probably relate back then growing up in Ecuador, I also felt like the goth that never really fit in. That's why I find your music so fascinating, because I can feel those dilemmas, maybe those influences in the music as well, and much more in the lyrics, with all of the Spanish that seeps through and that makes everything, so to me, so much more relatable and makes a huge impact. Is that something that you use very specifically to emphasize different lyrical themes, or is it just stream of consciousness, whatever comes out when you are writing your lyrics?
It's really a stream of consciousness. It's a more of not restricting that, instead of like picking it apart and choosing this song needs to be about this and needs to be about that. It's just really like a, well, it just comes out, and then after that it feels like, okay, I understand what this is about. Because as you were saying, growing up, sometimes you kind of feel you don't really feel like you belong, but then you move out and then you realize you don't belong there either. You think this is where I'm supposed to be, or like what, but in the end it's like, not really. So you try to see it the other way, like you actually belong everywhere, and it's, some things are for you, some things are not for you, but still your culture, and you still embrace parts of different cultures. When I was in Venezuela, I didn't want to sing in Spanish. I really wanted to sing in English to feel like I belong and everything. Like, oh, I belong into rock music. And then you realize, well, you don't. It's not that you don't belong, but you're who you are. And then accept yourself, accept all the beautiful parts of it. And then more you grow up, more you start to appreciate where you're from, like what you've been taught in the culture you've been brought up around. And that's what's kind of like, that's the conscious part of it. There was nothing wrong with wanting to, appreciate different cultures, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with accepting and appreciating what you had already, and like embracing all the beautiful sides of it that sometimes you didn't understand what I had. And when you're being away from it, that you're like, open your eyes and see that. And so musically, as a band, we want to be ourselves conscious about it, and then make other people feel like, yeah, I mean, it's not music for everybody, but those that understand, for example, people from Venezuela that like rock music, they would understand the influences, and they'd be like, like the DiCaprio meme, like the, like there's a cuatro, that realizing as well that, when we moved here, well, especially me and Alizon, because Ben was already in the Anglo-Saxon world, sometimes, people see Latin music more like, oh, it needs to be this stereotypic thing, like, oh, if it's not stereotypical, it's not Latin enough for me. And Latin rock music, it's so vast, and there's so many things, and it's so many flavors. And I feel like sometimes in Latin America, we are so open-minded, not because pop culture is very English like driven. And so now we are like, well, fuck it, like we're gonna sing in Spanish when we want, we're gonna do what we want, basically. And hope, that people are receptive, and some will be and some won't, but we can't try to put ourselves to fit in, since we kind of came to the conclusion that we'll fit everywhere and anywhere at the same time. Still, we're human, so everybody has a place, and yeah. Don't know if that makes sense, but
those are really important topics that you are already touching on. And are those conversations that you have as a band? What themes and what topics come into the lyrics?
Well, I think because we basically share everyday experience together. We just go through life together, because we're just together all the time, whether it's being through the band or through our personal life. And so I feel like all the themes that Jess writes about and everything that comes out, like what we discussed before, that's already what we talk about every day without having to like necessarily bring up the lyrics. We go through all these experiences together, And so I feel like when Jess right, we all relate because we all experiencing the same events and already share all these feelings and sentiments. And so I think it's more of a bigger picture where we all share so much that we can also relate to the lyrics.
Right. And you have been doing a lot lately. You have been going through so much. You have been playing huge festivals and doing really nice tours. Tell us a little bit about what you've been up to and, of course, about your recent album. It's been a few months now, but it feels really fresh.
Yeah, this last year, 25 has been like crazy for us. We've been really busy. We started with Shiprock Festival in the US in January, and that was incredible, great fun. Had a few shows around Florida directly after that, and then when we got home, we had about, was it like 2 or 3 weeks before we left for a European and UK tour with Bloodywood, who is an amazing band, lovely people, like the whole crew, amazing, super nice people. That lasted about 4 or 5 weeks, something like that.
5 weeks.
5
It was
weeks.
6.
Might
Might
be
be
6.
I think it was 6.
I can't remember. And then when that finished, it was kind of the build up to the album release in July 11th.
Yes.
11th, yeah. And then we played
2003
the day after on the 12th.
Wow.
That was hot.
Yeah,
It
it
was
was,
so
really
hot.
hot. Yeah.
Sounds like a hell of a release party.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Almost everything happened last minute. We weren't supposed to play the festival. And
We got the offer for
For
Bloodywood while we were on the ship, on Shiprock. So we were like, how we need to figure out how to make this happen.
we got this like huge tour offered
2 weeks before.
less than 1 month before it started.
Oh, wow.
Everything came into place because tour manager was available, and we had a van, and found a van, and we found everything, and it all happened. But we were like, we have to take this because we love Bloodywood, even at the time, even more so now. We love these guys, and we were like, yeah, this is the opportunity we have to take.
Yeah.
And indeed, it was amazing.
It was a great tour.
The audience was like super open and receptive to what we were doing.
Because they also have the multicultural thing as well,
but they're from India, so like
they fuse like their traditional sounds with metal. So I think a lot of their fans related to what we were doing because we do a similar thing,
Yeah.
different languages.
Yeah.
With a different culture.
And then in September, we went back to the US for our first ever headline tour.
5 weeks there.
5 weeks across the US.
Wow, congratulations. Oh my goodness, what a milestone.
Yeah, it was pretty special. Wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it was special.
Yeah.
Yes.
We had a great band called Six Sense support us for that tour. Lovely people again. And then what did we do? Oh yeah, then we came home.
And we had another 2 weeks again until we were out in Europe again with Straight From The Past for another
5 weeks.
Then it was their farewell tour, so last ever tour. So it was pretty emotional, and
And then we're here.
and now and we came back a week ago.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. And I'm sure you're preparing for more, but before we go onwards to the future, I feel like it might sometimes look like luck, maybe. It's not luck when you are at the right place at the right time. Sometimes opportunities come when you don't feel prepared, but you should still just jump at them because they might not come around again. And you will make it work. You can learn the job, on the go and stuff like that. So it's super admirable that you had the courage to take it and confidence to know that you would be able to do it, even if at that moment we're just not expecting the request or the invitation. But the fact that you still went on and did it is really amazing.
That's how we feel about every single thing
Yeah.
in our life. Everything's always happened like that, where you kind of have to be prepared, but then also you don't feel prepared, but then you have to do it. So you jump at it,
But
not knowing.
it is a hard thing to make decisions as well, because we wish we could say yes to everything, to every tour, every opportunity. For example, Bloodywood, we knew in our hearts we had to take this opportunity. That's an opportunity that doesn't come around. We all felt that, But there's times where we had to say no to nice, really amazing tours, but it would have killed us. Like, it would have made us kill the band because we don't have the money, we don't have the resources, and sometimes you can't just jump without a parachute. You know, you need a and I mean, you need a functional.
Yeah.
You can't just like be like, oh, everything will will put together by itself. So it's just kind of like understanding, seeing beyond what can happen and taking the risk and understanding we won't come out alive.
Yeah.
After we've had like people be like, oh, you refused this amazing opportunity, which we understand. And sometimes people are like, you're so stupid for refusing that. But we're like, you don't understand being in our shoes and the sacrifices we made. We can't just throw everything saying manifest it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
we're not going to sacrifice the whole work of over 10 years, because even before CALVA LOUISE existed, we met before that. We worked on it before that. So it is you need strategy, and for that you need to be very disciplined and have a lot of awareness around you, because you can't just say no to things being like, I'm more than that, like that's stupid. Like, don't, you know what I mean? Like, you cannot, that is real, like the ego involved. But at the same time, you can't just put everything on the line and then you lose it, and then what you're gonna do, how you're gonna build back up.
Yeah.
And that is for bands that have no monetary help. That's the biggest danger that bands can experience. Album is called Edge of the Abyss. That's how we see it. Like, we can fall at any moment. Any moment, poof. Like, but because we've been friends and together as a unit for a decade, we communicate, we understand together, and we got a good management, and like we put that luck into use, or be like, this opportunity might not come back again, but might not be the opportunity for you. Maybe it's for another artist.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest trick, is like the human side of things, which is like, the machine is a machine, but we're humans.
Yes.
that are making it work. Is to never forget the human side.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I need everyone out there to listen to this and pay so close attention. I'm myself learning so much from all of you. And also, don't take me the wrong way. I didn't mean luck as in you have been lucky at all. It's absolutely well-deserved opportunities that you are getting. I don't think that the industry or that anyone, and much less you, would get offers that they haven't worked their asses off to get,
No, yeah. Of course, it's on the lyrics. On our lyrics, there's I didn't invent this term, but I read it. It's centimeter cubic of luck. So that's the thing. Through awareness and discipline, you see the luck presenting in your path, and it's up to you to take that luck.
Yeah.
Right? You are the right place at the right time because you work for it. But then, if you don't take this luck, then that's on you, because that is real. So I call it miracles.
Yeah.
It's a miracle.
But it would be easy to miss if you're not prepared and not aware.
My mom told me this. Well, this is relevant, but very relevant at the same time. But my mom said to me, if I had waited to be prepared to have me, I would have never been born.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's such a contradiction. You got to be prepared, but not prepared. It is luck, but it's not luck. The world it makes no sense. And you're like,
yeah. I like the calling it a miracle, because it's more than just a coincidence. It's synchronicity. I think sometimes it's just magic. It's for real. Like, things are meant to be. And sometimes when things are not meant to be, it hurts. But, you're better off on the other side anyway. And having that awareness and honing that intuition, especially as a team, so that all of you know which opportunities to take and which to let go of, I think is so important. And at the same time, to be in tune with your boundaries, because yes, as you were saying as well, the music industry is an industry. Having a band is a business. At the end of the day, you are trying to make money. And yeah, you're trying to make money to keep making music, but that has to be a sustainable thing. You are not robots, and especially with the rise of AI right now that everyone is talking about, we don't want our artists to be replaced by robots, which means also we have to take care of our artists like the humans they are. So taking care of their physical and mental health while on tour, while off tour. In recent years, we've seen so many bands cancel tours because they were burnt out. That's what we want to avoid. And for that to be sustainable and to happen, artists and their teams around them have to think like that, have to say, okay, if we want to keep doing this for the long term, we don't have to jump on everything. We also have to take a little rest. It's really valuable that you have already reached that sense and that consciousness, that awareness.
Exactly. No, completely agree with everything you said. Bang on. That's it.
That is so cool. And talking about that, those are the topics that we are most passionate about, that I am most passionate about here on the show. Mental health, but also human rights. There are so many things happening in the world right now, coming from such different corners of the world. How is your outlook as a band as well towards what's happening around the world right now? Is that something that you talk about in the band, to your fans, in your lyrics? How do you handle these topics?
It's something that weighs on us as humans, and especially we talk a lot about it with our audiences. We get emails, amazing, beautifully written letters, emails, people around the world, communities that are very marginalized that get to connect with what we're saying through music. We want to be able to keep doing the music, to keep touching to those that tell us this means something. We're doing music now, not for us. We do music for them, for those that are telling us, you are giving me something, some sort of motivation. This is the thing. It's how to have motivation in a decadent world, because we can't just not do, you know, like we can't just stay in bed and thinking, because you're thinking you're not doing enough. Most people that I know are very sad that I'm not doing enough. But that's the thing. Like, if you keep thinking you're not doing enough, you're just not going to do point, you know?
Yeah.
And doing a little bit is already more than just stop. That's kind of, to us, the fuel that keeps, you know, the band going. And it's thanks to all of those people that keep telling us that is,
that we have some sort of positive impact on their life.
Yes. To keep fighting.
Yes, absolutely. Very well put. We should all change the world for the better with whatever it is that we do best. And for you, it's music, and you do really, really good music. So yes, please tell us what's coming up next for you before I leave you for your next appointment.
We've got a few festivals booked, and we aim to get some headline tours booked in as well. That's our plan. Nothing's booked yet, but
you know, things will develop as you know, as we go, but we just keep prepared for jumping into action when needed.
That's amazing. Thank you so very much for your time. All of your links will be in the description of this video, of this podcast episode. Is there anything else you want to say?
To keep going on your purpose, because every single person in the world has a good purpose, a great purpose, and not to believe the status quo, and just build your own description of your life that is in a harmony with the rest of the citizens of the world. Hope that makes any sense.
Hell yeah. Down with all systems of oppression. I love that. Thank you so very much. This was CALVA LOUISE on the Bleeding Metal podcast. Bleeding Metal is hosted, produced, and edited by me. I'm Kiki. Don't forget to subscribe to the Bleeding Metal podcast wherever you listen, and on YouTube. Everything will be in the description, and I'll see you next time.